The doctor came in and looked at me and says, listen, there's no easy way to say it, but you have lymphoma. We don't know which one it is. We don't know if it's Hodgkin's or non-Hodgkin's, but that's what it is. Of course, my parents broke down. After that Wednesday, the next day, I went into a Baptist church, which I was raised Pentecostal. But I had a brother, Shelly Chandler, our preacher back home at the First Baptist Church. He was also one of our athletic chaplains in high school. He asked me to come in. They wanted to pray for me on Wednesday night. So I went in, I agreed, and they sat me down in a chair. Everybody came through, and right then I knew something. This was beyond me, because I saw some people in there that they said that hadn't been in church in years since their parents had died, and coming through just praying for me. And at the end, God spoke to me. He said, you're going to be fine. You're already healed. You're going to go through this because I'm going to use you to bring more back to me and get back on the path. And when you're done with this, your testimony is going to bring others. And I said at that point, it's like, all right, God, as long as you need me sick, I'll be sick. Going from Bonnie Park to coach is definitely a big change to see how it started. Going from not even having a field, go from just all you can do is grind. You're in the heat, no pads for the first couple months, then going straight into it and practicing. And I think it was a little bit different for me because I was going from playing for 2 years at Faulkner, and then coming here using my red shirt and having to pretty much go through a red shirt season after playing a lot. But seeing the program develop the way it did, and being able to coach here has been great. I think we still have the same standards that we started back in Bonnie. Just the hard nose. We're going to be tough. We're going to be hard to beat. That's mainly the big thing. Favorite part of coaching is definitely seeing guys develop and reach their maximum potential, not just on the field, but also off the field in the classroom and in Christ. That's something else. Watching guys, find themselves who they are as a man in Christ, rather than just going through and playing ball. Coming out of high school, obviously went to Faulkner. I started there as a true freshman. Went through 2 years there, 2011, 2012 season. And at the end of the 12th season, I started to feel like God was tugging on me to leave. Had no clue why. A lot of people questioned it. Like, why would you want to leave after you've been there for 2 years playing? So I prayed and I fasted about it, and God told me that I needed to get my release. So I got my release, and from there, didn't really know where I was going, but heard about Southeastern starting a program from my pastor back home. And so I reached out, got a hold of Coach Bearfield, came down for a visit, and when I stepped on campus, walking around campus, talking to the coaches, and it was only Coach Bearfield and Coach Marsh at the time, and I felt like this is where God was calling me to come. So transferred in, came in 13, went through the whole Bonnie Park experience, and then going into the spring, everything was going fine. And then I started getting sick, losing a lot of weight. I went from being 270 pounds down to about 225 in about a month to 2 months. I knew something was wrong. I went to a clinic. They tested me for the flu. The woman there, she's like, "You have the flu. I see it all day. I see it every day. It's flu season. Here's a prescription for Tamiflu." So I took Tamiflu for a week, didn't get any better. So I went through another clinic in town. Walked in, the woman said, "Hey, let's just take a chest x-ray and see if there's anything going on." Took a chest x-ray, came in. She said that she wanted to get the radiologist to look deeper into it because it looked like my heart was enlarged. And then they called me and they said they wanted me to get a CT scan. And like, it's a prominent median sternum, I believe. And I was like, I have no clue what you're talking about. Here's my mom's number. You have complete clearance to call her. She's a nurse. So at the time, the closest CT scan that I could get, like in a short amount of time, is gonna be like 2 weeks out down here. Well, my mom's a nurse back home. She could get me in right away. So they drove up, picked me up, drove me straight back home. I couldn't drive back home myself. It's a 5.5 hour drive. I was falling asleep randomly, just passing out, had no strength. I couldn't eat. I could only eat like once a day, and then it'd come right back up. And when I got home, like I was freezing cold. And I told my dad, I was like, listen, I'm sorry. I know you just drove 11 hours straight. I got to go to the hospital now. I have to right now. And so he loaded up. We went to the hospital. They did some blood work, took a CT scan. So Monday, the whole event started. So I went in Monday. He talked to me about Hodgkin's and non-Hodgkin's and what all I had to do that week to get prepared to start treatment and everything else. So Tuesday I went in for a bone marrow test. So they went in, they had to drill into my bone. They had to do it twice because I actually broke the tool that they were using to do it. Yeah, so my bones were pretty strong, gallon of milk a day. They wanted to go in and check because they needed to do a biopsy. At the time I had a lymph node on top of my clavicle that had been sticking up. And they said, oh, it'll be quick, easy surgery, 30 minutes, you're in, you're out. And then overnight, that thing started shrinking. And went in Friday morning, and they went in. It was so small, it was going to be inconclusive. And they looked further down, and they said they saw the one size of a racquetball putting pressure against my superior vena cava, main blood flow from the heart to the brain. The doctor said that if they wouldn't have caught that one, then I probably would have been dead in like 2 weeks. I would have fell asleep and never woke back up, which goes back to the CT scan. 2 weeks, might not have been here if I would have waited. 30-minute surgery went to 3 hours. Freaked my parents out. Of course, I didn't know I was under. So from there, they said it was a Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is the one you want to have. Started my treatment right away that next week. As soon as we started, the doctors were telling me, this is going to be rough. As soon as you start feeling better, you're going to have another treatment. During the time of my treatments, I went from being 220 pounds, and I got back up to 280. So I actually gained weight during chemo, and I was strong. I was probably in the best shape of my life. I was constantly running. I was probably running about 1.5 miles, 2 miles a day, easy. Get my strength back up in the weight room. I was actually ready to come play. But during that time, I kept, making sure I was praying. One of my verses that I use and always stuck with me, and I still use it today, was Psalms 144:1, which is, blessed be the Lord my rock, who prepares my hands for war, my fingers for battle. And I knew I was already prepared for it. All I had to do was go through it. And I was going to put up a fight no matter what. Went through all the treatments, got through my first 2 cycles, went in for another PET scan, and that came in. The doctor said, hey, this is phenomenal. It went from being where we couldn't measure one lymph node to the other. So you have 3 tiny little spots the size of a pencil lead between your lungs. So the treatment's working great. This is the best we've seen it work. Probably one more treatment, you're going to be out of here. And my thought right then was, great. I'll be back for the 14th season. So I started my next treatment, still stay focused on ball, stay focused on what the Lord was trying to get me to do. And went through those next scans, came back, and the doctor said, hey, we got great news. We don't see any cancer. I was like, awesome, I'm good. I got a month from report date, I'm solid. He says, but there's something on your lung that we don't know what it is. And we want to make sure it's not some type of mutated cancer, so you're going to go through another cycle. And that broke me. And at the time, I used to have big old fat veins, and now they're pretty small because of all the chemo going through it. So they went from being able to stick me with an IV to they had to put a port inside my right arm. So they put it in, and when they took me downstairs to go put it in, I was broken. That was probably the first time I cried in years. Bawling my eyes out, and then God just hit me. He said, I thought you said you'd be sick as long as I needed you to be. So I did say that. I did. So from there, started my treatments again, still working out, still doing everything. But during that whole time, God was using me for other things. I was coming here, Coach Flath, him and his family opened their arms when I would come visit. And then I would go over to Gold's Gym in town, and I met a lot of people during that time that I needed to speak to. Some people that definitely never really wanted to show their faith, as an athlete. And the team here constantly, all my teammates opened their arms, made sure that they stayed in touch with me, always talked to me, reached out. I had a few of them come in for chemo and sit down with me in the room. So making that trip was, we were a brotherhood, honestly. We were tight, we were a family. It's something that we instilled in Lake Bonnie, and that's still today. I still see it with our guys, that even the new guys that come in, they realize real quick this is definitely a brotherhood. So from there, got that last treatment knocked out. Turns out it was just a scar on my lungs, and I was able to come back and play ball. So I came in 15, and I was rusty as I'll get out, real rusty. So that spring, I remember Coach Flath is constantly staying on me. It's like, listen, it's been a while. You got to get the rust knocked off. Just keep calm. Don't stress yourself out. Don't beat yourself up about it. Because I'm my own worst critic, especially whenever you want to go into coaching, you want everything to be perfect. Came in, started at right tackle, and then that first game, which was Faulkner in the 2015 season, was big. And I remember, matter of fact, I was sitting right here by the door. I didn't hear anybody speaking. I mean, it was loud in here. Everybody was talking. I couldn't hear anything at all. I was focused, dead set, went out, and I played my heart out. I remember that. I remember hitting Michael Weary dead in the back after he caught a ball, and there was two of them grabbed hold of him, and I hit him dead in the back, just trying to get him another yard. Felt bad about it, but I was doing everything I could because I wanted to show out that game. I really wanted to show people that, going through chemo, coming back, it was actually a God thing, not just me saying it was. Being able to go through something like that and come out on the other side and play right away. I mean, there was people that said, you don't look like you have cancer. It looks like I have cancer compared to you. And I was like, well, I do. But, God's put me in this situation for a reason. I mean, through that, I saw my sister get saved. I saw a lot of people that went to my church that said, I didn't realize how bad my prayer life was. And that goes back to God telling me, hey, we got to bring some more back on track that are already with me. And I think it was a phenomenal deal. I think God was preparing me the whole time whenever I got here in 13. I was in my Bible a lot whenever I was here. He gave me a few words, a few scriptures that really stuck out, and I'd already wrote them down. And matter of fact, whenever I got diagnosed, I even showed my parents, I was like, here's scriptures that go right along with what I'm going to be going through. I think a lot of it, like Job, whenever we look at the book of Job, God took everything away from him, except for his wife, who kept pestering him, telling him denying. But I look at it at that point, his faith never dwindled at all. I sit here, and I was here. Playing sports is big for me. Love football, wanted to coach it, love to play it, and being here, I went from having all this to nothing, having to go back home and just go through treatments, and all I could do was work out. And watching the 2014 season from either the sideline or online, it was tough. It was really tough, not being able to be a part of it. But I think one thing that also boosted my faith was the team that stayed around me. Some of my old teammates from Faulkner that I played with, and people in the community that rallied around me. It was big. But one thing I can say that I saw that was beautiful out of it is people didn't talk about denomination. I saw people coming in, because Faulkner was a Church of Christ school. I went to a Church of Christ church down there, Landmark, and then growing up, I went to Carmel, which was Pentecostal. I went to a non-denominational church some. I'd go to a Methodist church on Wednesdays in high school, First Baptist church on Fridays before the game with Brother Shelley. And I went through all these different denominations, just going to see people hanging out, because I didn't see it as, a lot of people try to push it as a religion. It's not a religion. It's just a denomination. And seeing people come in from all over saying, hey, we're praying for you, calling from Texas, calling from California, calling from New York, all these people from all over saying that, hey, we're standing in from all these other denominations. It wasn't what denomination is right. It was, hey, we're all coming together as Christians for a reason. And when God says he's coming back for his bride, it's the church, not, hey, we're coming back for just the Baptists. We're not coming back for just the Pentecostals. We're coming back for the church, for his bride. And being able to see a glimpse of that was even more, whenever it comes to my faith, it boosted even more. 2020 season, one thing that definitely excites me, is going to be our defense this year. I think our offense is still going to be strong. We got a lot of returners over there, but as a defensive whole, I think we're only going to go up. We had a lot of young guys last year, especially the D-line. So we're only going to build on that. It's definitely going to be competitive during fall camp and through the whole season. You can't slack. Better be working out. Better be running. Better be in shape. That's all I can say. So I'm really excited about our defense and what we got going.